Alright, g'day guys, welcome back to the channel. So, just like I said I would, here at exactly 8 o'clock on the dot, not a minute later. So, today, going to rip into some actual mods to the BA. So, first thing on the chopping block, going to rip the car off the dyno, chuck it on a hoist, whack it in the air, remove my little dumpy flappy I keep calling it a dump valve, whatever. It's literally just a V-band blanker for my dump valve. Anyway, it's now going to be an actual dump valve. So got an AES 3.5 inch dump kit with pump. So these are actually really pretty cool. They are way better than the shitty electric ones, which always leak and rattle and carry on. These ones are much more quality unit. So I'll be whacking that in. I'll possibly, don't know if I'll go and do all of it. I just want to get it at least fitted for now, like welded in. Wiring wise and that sort of stuff I can always do later. It's pretty simple. Never actually installed one, but I'm pretty sure it's just accessory power. And then yeah, it's basically just a pump and a switch. Hopefully I can trigger the valve off the Haltech keypad, which brings me to my next point, my giant wall of things I've been buying while I was away in Melbourne, well, all the week leading up to it. So, first thing is you may have seen this coming. I'm not going to open it, but a Mako Motorsport dash mount. So now the reason why I decided against what I've done, took the car for a drive after fitting the dash, and the freaking dash just shakes a lot. Pissed me off. So ordered now this is not a typo, ordered a UC10 mount instead of an IC7 mount. And now you're thinking, what an absolute fucking idiot. Why would you order a UC10 mount when you have an IC7? Well, about that, I decided to treat myself and upgrade to a UC10 dash as well. So look, this is probably not getting fitted anytime soon. I'm probably going to keep the IC7 in there for an event or two, just so I get used to it all, set up all the safeties, all that sort of stuff. Then I'll switch over to the UC10, so at least then I have more understanding of their full product line, so I can recommend stuff going forward. What's in the next box, you ask? I also picked up a couple of other things. 3x5 keypad. So just a slightly bigger keypad. That was my next point on the AES dump valve. Starting to run out of slots on my 2x4. So I grabbed the 3x5. May end up running just a 3x5 or both, not sure yet. Depends how many functions I end up adding. Got myself some multi-core cable. This is the three wires, so this is for like sensors and stuff. So I can run, this is the bracket for the Turbo 400 shift selector, and the somewhere in here will be probably the long, so a shift selector. So obviously they're 3-wire, so you run the 3-wire, where are we? Yeah, the 3-wire core, 3-core 22 gauge wire, so I can route that up, and then I'll also route up some wiring for the temp sensor. Also got some of this too. This is the 4-core 20 gauge, so this is their CAN wiring. So remember when I made my wiring for my dash, I can now just use the actual Haltech stuff. So I could probably shorten some of my cables and stuff with that, because I've already got all the connectors now. I can just repin them and make exact length wires, so I don't have bundled wires up everywhere. It's fairly cheap, and then it says Haltech on it and it looks fancy. So that is just to make life a little bit easier. Also got a PD16. So eventually I'm going to run a bunch more stuff on the car, but what my plan is, I've got a Turbo 400 fan at the moment on the cooler, so I'll put that through this. I'll probably keep some of the factory stuff, like the coolant thermo fans and stuff. They run totally fine through the factory relays and factory fuse box. So I'll probably leave them on there, but I'll probably put my fuel pumps on that to be able to stage them. And I'll run like the Turbo 400 fan. I'll probably get an oil cooler with a fan at some point as well, so I'll be able to run the fan through that. At some point, I'm probably going to end up with nitrous, so that can do my nitrous solenoids. Hopefully that can do Turbo 400 solenoids for trans brake and bump and all that sort of stuff. So I just sort of figured that when they were on special, it was nearly half price once you factor in like my trade price and the 20% off or whatever they had. So I couldn't really say no to that. It was just a smoking deal. And I got the flying harness for it, so the 5 meter harness. So there's just absolutely every wire I'll ever need. Like for the price, everything's ready to go. It's all crimped into the harness, and yeah, honestly, it's just for the price, you can't beat it. So that'll be able to control probably anything electrical that I ever add to the car, and comes with a sweet fanny pack. Well, not a fanny pack, it's like a backpack. Anyway, so that's about it. That is just, I ordered one of the, zip tied shut, but it's just the desktop mat with all the key shortcuts and stuff, because I always forget what the Haltech buttons are. So yeah, just it's like 20 bucks or 50 bucks or something. So big mouse pad for using on my computer. So anyway, let's rip into some of this actual work and yeah, start getting the car prepped. We will also give the car a bit of a bath today.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Which I should have probably done yesterday, because I was lazy yesterday. Let's all admit it. So yeah. Oh, also this bad boy is from Golby's. Got a Plazzy fuel rail. It was on special for 206 bucks. So dash 8 Plaza Man fuel rail. So if that is the issue, is the fuel rail on the car is the reason why my fuel pressure is not behaving properly, 200 bucks. If that fixes it, fucking awesome. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's 200 bucks, and it looks better than the one that I've got anyway. So I wasn't planning on originally changing the fuel rail, because I'm going to go to like a Toomey plenum or something later. But I figured for 200 bucks, throw that at it and see if it fixes it. Anyway, let's get into it. Alrighty, so first time I've had the car on a hoist since I did the CVs. Now, once I did the CVs, that was obviously the first time I was able to drive it, because it had obviously broken axle. I couldn't drive it. It's always, since I've been driving it, has had a little bit of an ABS issue, where right when you go to slow down, the pedal will just hit ABS right as you're doing about 2 k's an hour. And I thought I knew what it was. Turns out I was correct. I just hadn't had a chance to put it up in the air yet. When I was putting the wheel speed sensors back in, so that's how they're supposed to sit, nearly touching the tone wheel. And what I was worried was maybe these tone wheels were a little different to the original ones, because the original ones are like pressed steel, whereas these are like a sort of like a cast or like ability sort of style. I think they're cast, whatever. Anyway, I sort of suspected they might be an issue, but what it actually was is this one was just a little bit tight going in and just didn't quite go all the way home. So I will fix that up. That is most likely my problem. So obviously this car must not have ever had an issue before, and I created it. So anyway, all good, doesn't really matter. All right, now, updates on oil leaks. So gearbox itself, not really leaking anywhere. Nothing really out the extension housing. It was awesome. That is usually like they just piss out all the time. Anyway, sump, pretty good. Does look a little shiny. Possibly a ball hair of a leak. Nothing too much to worry about. Rear main, yes, is leaking. Sump plug, just leaking a hair. Oil filter, just a little drip. Nothing from the front seal. Front of the sump looking good. Turbo drain on the sump is good. The turbo drain from the turbo is leaking. Could just be these fittings here, very possible. Either way, gonna replace that with a whole new system. And obviously, yeah, rear main just leaking a little bit. So it's not as bad as it looked. It does leak more while running than while sitting. So that could potentially be the turbo drain that's doing a lot of that. But yeah, anyway, easy fix. Now that it's all washed down, it's easier to see because, you know, like it's pretty obvious that there's nothing from the front, no power steering leaks or anything, so, which is awesome. Just got a new alternator. So yeah, let's put this valve in place of this little cap. I don't know if I got a very good video of that when I was showing you how it worked and stuff. Obviously the V-band will be set up a little bit tighter once it's done properly. I was just putting it on and off a few times while driving. So I didn't bother making it neat, I just made it easy to get to. So anyway, we'll rip that off, cut that flat out of it, and weld the dump valve to that V-band. So lucky I didn't have to buy a V-band or anything, so all I had to do was buy the valve. Actually, one more thing I'm gonna do, I just fixed that Bravo 6 going dark. That's better. So I did fix this tone wheel. I also just remembered I've got rear brakes. So probably a good idea to change those before that NoPrep. So literally just completely forgot that I had them. So I'm gonna quickly whack pads and rotors in it now and then get stuck into what I was actually doing. All right, went and jumped into my little box of parts. Got some general CT pads, nothing fancy, and just some Tora. Slotted and whatever, dimpled rotors. I got these on the grey BA, they work really good, nice and quiet. No shutter yet, so didn't exactly give it too much of a hard time, but yeah, some just 1376s, which should be good. Also forgot I've got a pair of side markers as well, because these gross faded ones are gonna get replaced. They were sitting with the pads, so I'll whack them in today as well.
It's false. No way. Not this time. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It never happened.
Jeez. Got my money's worth there. All right, these aren't, oh, they're a little bit slimy. Not too bad. A bit of a clean. Making sure to clean in here especially so that you don't have an oily handbrake. So when setting the BA handbrake, there's this adjuster here that unscrews, pulls these out. Now what your aim is, you want to adjust it so that when you pull on that lever, it comes out about half a centimetre maybe. Now I'll probably have to back off my cable because the cable looks like it's got a bit of preload on it. So I'm going to loosen my cable and then that'll let that little foot sit down flush. And then you want it with the rotor on, you want it so that if you pull on that, it comes out about half a centimetre, and that is pretty much set perfect. All right, so I went up to adjust the cable. So this one's sitting perfect, right? You want it touching and just a little bit of slack, which is good. And I was like, oh, why is this one so far out? If it's set correctly, to then find who the f bent that rod. Anyway, so it's obviously pulling a little bit more preload on one side than the other. So I'm probably just gonna have to adjust it as is and leave it. So yeah, obviously yours shouldn't be bent, but you would basically loosen off that nut and then adjust it at the shoes correctly and then tighten the nut until they are just about to touch with just the tiniest little bit of free play is how I like to do them. If you have any more tension on them, they'll make noise and carry on and just be noisy. All right, so I like to just put the rotor on just to square up those shoes, make sure it spins pull it back off. You can feel as it's coming off, you can feel how loose those shoes will be. Then you want to flick that little adjuster, which I forgot my screwdriver, so I'll go get one. All right, so this one goes this way. And you can just see that little gap there getting bigger. So I'll probably start with that. Chuck the rotor back on. Still real loose, so keep going. Obviously I think I must have backed these right out when I was doing the axles or something maybe. The cool thing with these rotors is they've actually got an extra hole here. Normally B series rotors only have like that hole there that's sort of in line. Territories used to have an adjuster hole. So they've added the extra hole so you can adjust that with the rotor on, which is awesome. So what I'm gonna do, because I can adjust that with the rotor on, I'll adjust it till it locks up and then back it off. All right, so that's now pretty much locked up. I'll back it off a few clicks. And now it's free. So now that'll probably be adjusted correctly. So if we hold that. Yep. So that now has about the right amount of throw. We'll get the other side, I'll get the pads in and I'll get the other side done. So with the pads, you always want to check your slides. These are gross. Gonna run them on the wire wheel and re-grease them. They're pretty tight. So yeah, obviously you want to have them cleaned, greased, and you want to make sure your boots are on properly and not cracked or anything, which these ones are pretty good. So these will just need a clean and fresh grease and they're good to go. This other one on the car still is perfect, so no need to wire wheel that one. I'll just wire wheel the other one that was a little bit rusty. Before, after, much nicer. Now I'm going to use some of this, just some Hawk grease, brake parts lubricant. I normally use like Bendix blue jizz stuff in a little tube, but I can't find it, so found this in the toolbox, so I'm just going to use this. I did clean in the holes as well, by the way. Beautiful. All right, so that one's all greased. Just gonna wind back my caliper. I made my own homemade caliper wind back tool in 2007. Still works. Falcon head bolt, wheel nut, and a brake pad. Excuse the absolute garbage welds, but it's the first thing I ever welded in my life. Done. And it still spins, so we're good. Then we just do the other side. I guess I forgot to check this when I bought the car, but this ball joint is toast. Bit hard to see, but if you watch the rotor. So front ball joints are definitely going to be ordered. I'll probably check the uppers as well while it's on the hoist and figure out what I need. Alrighty, let's rip this dump valve off. Now it'll probably be full of water because I've done a few cold starts without getting the car up to temp. That's pretty much the lowest point in the exhaust, so it'll most likely drip water everywhere. Yep. So obviously, one of the downsides to E85, if you don't drive it heaps, it does attract a lot of moisture. So something to be wary of. At least with when I've got the dump valve in there, it will have just enough gap to leak, hopefully, and it won't build up in there. Alrighty, so here's my kit. Got my torch lighting everything up. So once you get out of the box, I've never actually installed one of these. So this is your little pump. It obviously gets power and pumps up. Looks like it makes 32 PSI. Says 2 port 1 on Mac valve. They run just like a normal Mac valve, just like a boost controller. to move the solenoid. So just your typical Mac valve, which now to run this via the Haltech, I would assume I just give power to the pump on its own circuit, and then I would route the Mac valve as a DPO, pulsed output, and then I would basically, Mac valve will open and close based off what we're wanting to do. So I'd assume, not really sure why I have a sample, the vacuum hose. Anyway, yeah, so I believe they just give you a switch, so it just runs power to the Mac valve, so when you turn it on it opens, when you turn it off it shuts or whatever. But we can probably do that with the Haltech. It's literally just a pulsed output, just like a boost controller. So I'd assume that all of this can be done with the Haltech output, and I just use a button on my keypad to control it. So for now, all I really need to do is just weld this to my flap and turn that into a V-bandable valve. So that should be, my calculations are correct. I don't know which way this has to go, but if my calculations are correct, that should be pretty much the exact size, so that should work pretty good. I'm gonna have a go at welding this myself. I am pretty crap at stainless, so if I struggle, I might have to just hand this off to Justin during the week. If I do, I'll just get him to video it for me. So I haven't welded with a TIG in like, I think the last time I tried using a TIG was on the grey BA when I was trying to weld the cat up, and I ended up using the MIG anyway, because at the time the gas purge wasn't working properly, so it's been a long time. So anyway, this should be pretty easy. The only thing I'll have to watch out for is how to fit this on the car where this isn't touching anywhere. Looking at it, it's actually going to be pretty tricky. All right, well, unfortunately, what I thought was going to be the case is the case. Obviously, that goes on there. We got a little bit of pushback, but this valve is not going to work. If I go that way, that hits on the floor. Hits on the floor, still not home. If I go that way, not going to fit. The only way this is going to fit, I believe, is that way. Tucked up to the chassis, which is not ideal, but it does hang. It's probably about as low as the sway bar, but once that's at ride height, that'll lift up. So it's not ideal. I think the only way to get this any better would be to shorten this pipe so that would sit further up. I don't know how well that's going to work. I probably wouldn't be able to do that myself. I'd probably have to get our fab guy at work to do that for me. So for now, I will weld that. Well, I'll try anyway. I'll try and weld this together and see if I can get it fitted up like that. It's going to hang down a little bit worse than I was hoping. So unfortunately, that's probably the only way I can do it. And I would like this valve on before I go racing so that I can just drive to the event, hit the button, valve opens, off I go. All right, so the first challenge is going to be, how do we cut this out? Now, I've thought about this a few different ways. I might use a air hacksaw to zip around it, and I could just use a die grinder and just clean it up. Other option was to just literally run it on a belt sander till it sort of falls out. I did just use a torch to dry all the water out of it, so it is a little bit hot. I'm thinking, yeah, probably best bet is cutting around it with a air hacksaw or something. Otherwise, yeah, it'd be cool if I had a hole saw that big and you just rip through it with a hole saw. But I might see if the band saw will be, I don't think it'll be accurate enough to cut that edge off. I need more edge than that so that the V-band and everything will still work. I might even need to add more pipe to it. Let me chuck the V-band on it and see if I can even weld the valve as close as I was planning on welding it. All right, so I've got the V-band on it. I'm just sitting up on this just to hold the V-band all the way down. Now, I'll probably end up having to line up the thing. So this looks like it's gonna clear. So I should be all right to weld this. I don't know what way this valve is supposed to go. Whether it's because it pivots from the middle, I don't think it matters. So, once it's open, and it's not like it pushes, you know, like it's not like because it pivots from the middle, it's not like the gas is going to overpower it. It spins, like the pressure will be the same on both flaps, basically. I'd imagine it doesn't matter which way it goes. I'm going to lose a finger here. All right, so yeah, I'm going to go basically that way. I think that'll probably still have to go down how it was, and it'll basically go on there like that. There is plenty of clearance to all of this. That should be all right to weld. I'll weld it with this off. Yeah, hopefully it welds on pretty good. Well, I've managed to destroy my blade. I might go get a freshie. Alright, it doesn't like when I hit the weld. Sake. Alright, I'm going to switch the blade out again. Sake. Alright, dog around the rest of it. Alright, so this is done. It's die grinded all the way smooth. It's obviously very rough still. So I'll hit that with the belt sander and smooth that up a bit. And then time to weld. So we'll find out if I've still got it. Hit it, flattened it out a little bit with a belt sander. It's pretty flat, so I just left it like that. Took the inner lip off it, just so it's not pointy. Other than that, that's good enough. I'll probably hit this on the sander, just make sure that's flat as well, or as flat as I can sort of get it. And then, yeah, hopefully I don't fuck this up. Looks like someone was welding alloy with this, or they're just really bad at TIG because they kept touching. Most likely alloy. So I've got it roughly set up how I'm going to do it, in position like that. So it's a little bit raised. Have not TIG welded in, like I said, like 4 years properly, so going to do my best here. I'll try and keep the camera set up roughly about there or something, so you can roughly see what I'm failing at. Just got to give it a final clean with a bit of acetone, and then we'll try and stick it together. Now I'm going in with no practice, so good luck to me. Fresh piece of stainless filler wire. I have switched out the tungsten in the TIG to my own piece. I used to run my own tungsten when I was practicing welding back in the day, so I am not using whatever that tip was that was on there. That's one I haven't probably touched in 4 years, so we'll see how that goes. Now, I have no idea about settings, so don't ever ask me. There's something, someone's written on the wall that I'm just gonna follow that for SSV band, 30 to 35 amps mid pedal. So I'm just gonna go with that and see what happens. Now I'm no welding expert, but looks like I got a little bit of carbon on the valve, so it didn't really stick too good. Now I sort of started there and worked my way over this way, so let me try another one, see if it's any better. No. Trying to fuse it did not work. Alright, that definitely went into the valve better than earlier. So that, at least somewhat welded, not too bad. Alright, proper welders will be laughing. People that have never welded before will be going, damn, that's some sick ass dimes, bitch. Alrighty, so there's the terrible welder that we all remember. I sort of started okay, got worse, got slightly better, got worse. Anyway, guess what? It's in one piece. It's probably not going to break. It's going to do what I want, and I didn't have to pay anyone to do it. So that is a fucking win. Let's wait till that cools down and fit it back on the car. All right, so it does fit. Pretty tight to the chassis rail, but enough room if the engine mount does lift. V-band clears. It's not the greatest idea, but what I will probably end up doing is putting a side pipe on it, put another V-band there, then V-band the side pipe out here, and the side pipe will hang lower. So, absolute worst case, I can, obviously that's just a vac hose and it's detached. So, if it does hit on everything, I can either move it further up, or once I do put the side pipe on, I can put the valve up here on the side pipe rather than here. But for now, that's good enough. That's the last of my fabrication experience and knowledge and abilities. Alrighty, and we're back with day 2 of this video, which is day 3 of actually being at work working on the cars. But Rob is here tuning Foy's car on the dyno, so if you can hear a lot of noise in the background, that's just that. Hopefully the mic just ignores all that and you don't really hear anything. I'll try and chuck in a couple of clips of it. It's a pretty spicy 180, so it's pretty exciting. But anyway, we'll get stuck back into what we were doing. So today we're going to fit the Turbo 400 shift position sensor, and I'll probably pull the pan off, weld on my temp sensor bung, route all the wiring up. I'm going to run that through the dash to power it all, or to accept the inputs, because I'm out of inputs on my ECU. I've only got one AVI left and I need 2 to make this happen. So going to run them 2 dash AVIs. So let's get stuck into all the stuff we're going to do today. And this video will just continue on, I guess. It won't even, I don't know why I'm doing an intro, but anyway, it's the next day. So anyway, let's get into it. So I'm going to try and catch my auto fluid, just because I'm a tight ass, and I'll see what the fluid looks like. I don't even know, I haven't even looked into what fluid I'm supposed to run in this, so I'll, just for now we'll go with the top up, put the fluid back in that came out of it. So I got myself a clean oil jug. We'll look at the fluid anyway once it's out, see what it looks like. All right, she's red, so I'd assume we got Dex 3 going in this, in a Turbo 400, I'd assume. It's a GM transmission, I'd assume Dex 3 is what we need to run, just so I remember how it all looks. That's how the shifter is. It's not adjustable, like the bracket anyway. So we'll put that back exactly how it was. Cable can just hang there once the pan's off. And then, yeah, we'll weld that bung on. All right, so we got like around 5 litres out of that pan, just under. So it's handy to know that if I ever have to dump the pan, just whack 5 litres back into it and it should be right. So I'll be using a copper washer now instead of this this fibre washer that it was. So they're pretty flimsy and shit at the best of times. So I'll be getting rid of that and going with the copper one. Just be whacking the sump plug back in. All right, now we'll move this to the side and get an oil drainer to sit under it while I've got the pan off so we don't make a mess. Just gonna sort of just figure out the best spot to actually mount this sensor where it's not gonna hit anything or get in the way or whatever. I'm thinking obviously we'll go like right here or something maybe. I'd like to go on the side, but maybe at the back here even. Might be a good idea. Might go set the back here, then the wiring can get zip tied to this cable. So if we go at the back there, then it's fairly well protected. It's not in the way of anything, nothing hot near it. So that'll work pretty good, I reckon. I'll rip this pan off, and once it's off, I'll just make sure there's nothing inside the pan there that's gonna get in the way. Alright, so someone's glued this on. So this might be an absolute nightmare to get off. We'll go grab a rubber mallet and a gasket splitter. I'll give it a bit of a go with the pry bar first, but I don't really think it's going to come off. There goes my torch. Oh no, yeah, that's going to come off. Alright, I'll go get another torch. Quick commercial break. Alright, we're back. Yeah, so it was coming off. So I'll just give it a little bit more of a pry now that it's lit up. So I've obviously left a couple of bolts so it doesn't just plummet. I do also have a service kit. Looks like someone's used Loctite 515 on this. So I've got a cork gasket. I'll probably use that. I have heard they're pretty good for auto pans. They need tightening all the time, but I've heard that rubber gaskets love leaking on like Turbo 400s and stuff. Alrighty, that's pretty cool. So I just lost about another half a litre. Fair bit of metal in the bottom of that though. Slightly concerning. Alright, so that answers that question. Filter bolts to the valve body. And it has a spring and a washer. Oh, two washers. I think I lost that washer. She does have a billet valve body, like it said, like the old owner said. I assume that's the old trans brake here. Lipstick. Don't really know what I'm looking at, but I'll show you guys. So if anyone knows what they're looking at better than me, let me know. Do I need to upgrade anything? Do I need to change anything? All I plan on doing is adding a sensor to it. Obviously that wire is for the trans brake. I didn't know what it was for. I now know for the trans brake. Let's get this bung welded on. So anyway, that's what it looks like in the pan. I just started ripping the gasket off. It's actually paper. But yeah, looks like a fair bit of shit. I don't know if that's normal or what, but couldn't imagine so. So maybe this 400 might need to go for a freshen up and touch up maybe. Maybe we'll just wait till it breaks, who knows. I don't know anything about them, so find out. Yeah, there really is quite a fair bit of shit in there, so I don't know. I do not look. I've only ever done normal autos normally, but This maybe is normal, I don't know. Is that a normal amount of metal? I don't know, I've never...
It's probably, oh, that's a bit, yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, normally a little shimmery, but...
All right, we'll just give this gasket area a little bit of a touch up. Don't know if I want to go as extreme as a razor blade, but probably should, just to get all the goo and everything off it. Start with a plastic razor blade and see if that doesn't hook it up too bad. Yeah, that's working pretty good. Yeah, the old plastic razor blade goes all right. I might just hit that with a wire wheel just to finish it off. But so far so good, as far as I'm going to go with that. Right, so I gave that a very quick buzz with the wire wheel. Just took that last little bit of paper off everything, didn't take much paint or anything off it, so leave it there, give it a good brake cleaner, dry it out, and then weld this bung on. Alright, so mark my little X where I'm going to put my bung pretty much in line there. Going to use a step drill. It's a nice bung like this. I don't know if I'm going to throw it in and then try and weld it from the back maybe. I don't know how you're supposed to do these. I'd say it might be easier to weld that way. Might be easier to weld it that way instead of that way. I don't know. Let's just whack it in and see how it looks. Perfect. That's got about... So that has just the tiniest little bit of free play. It's effectively perfect. So definitely won't be able to weld that from the inside like I was thinking. I don't know what I thought there. I have no idea how I'd get to that back side of it. So definitely going to try and weld it from the outside. Alright, so that hole is nice and neat. Now I'm just going to whizzy some of this paint off so that I don't fuck up my welding. Beautiful. Now a bit of acetone and off we go with the welder. Definitely forgot to hit record, but there's my first tack. Cut into the bung a little bit more than I sort of thought it would, but I'll tap it down a bit and get it a little bit flatter and go tack the other side. Alright, we touched the tungsten with the filler. Just going to give the tungsten a quick linish because I'd rather clean it than just work through problems. Start with the easy side, get used to it again, then switch to the hard side. Alright, I think that was a little bit much pedal. Probably turn the current down a little bit. This was set to doing V-band on a big cast thing, so probably using a little bit much throttle. Alright, well, we're getting it welded. Is the weld any good? No idea. You tell me. Probably not. Probably sucks. Oh, let's get going. Alright, I've definitely backed myself in a bit of a corner here because I'm struggling to get the torch around this side. Alright, bit of head scratching. I think I'm gonna just try and stick the tungsten out further. I don't know if that'll help. Maybe I might bend it. Again, probably snap. So I won't be able to see what I'm welding, but I should be able to do it sort of from feel, like what the movements should be. Alright, that is absolutely not working how I thought it would. Might just try and bend this tungsten a little bit. Snap. Alright, I'm not going to try and bend it again because that was a disaster. Alright, good enough. I hope that doesn't leak there. It should be alright. Alright, hopefully I didn't get it too hot and fuck up the threads. That's cooled down enough. I was able to thread that in pretty far. So that's going to work. Anything left really now is just clean up the inside of it. I'll just hit it with a wire wheel just to get rid of some of that paint and grossness in there, just so that none of that ends up in the auto fluid and stuff. So give that a bit of a whiz, take all the chipped stuff off and get it as neat as possible. Right, final cleanup done, ready to slap this back together. Alright, let's get it done. Alright, new filter on. Into there. Doesn't seem to want to go through that grommet. Might take the grommet off the old. Alright, that one's rock hard. So there's no filter in that. This one has a filter. This one doesn't seem to have a filter. That's odd. Let's pull this out and have a look. Alright, so this might explain why all the metal was in the bottom of the pan instead of in the filter, because there seems to be no filter there. There's no filter in this. The one that came out of it. I don't know if they do that to make them high flow or something. Maybe they don't suck through a filter properly. Maybe it's a Turbo 400 thing, I don't know. But this grommet, this pipe goes in that one. But it doesn't really want to go in that one, so I might just refit this one. Might just give it a brake clean and get all the metal off it and refit it, because obviously it worked. The car was driving fine, just wasn't filtering out any metal. All the metal was just building up in the pan, which is fine because it's not sucking it up. Alright, so I've just cleaned off all the goo off this, and I'll reinstall it, I guess. So the washer ends up having to be like that. With it sitting flush on that valve body, it wouldn't start. I did it with the gun, it undid, like it rattled when I undid it, so I wonder if it needs to get done up till the threads stop. It's pretty far. Threads are nearly done. Yeah, that's the end of the threads. You can obviously still flop around because it's a spring. Just do a little hair more, because that's bugger all. Yep. Alright. That seems to be correct. Now how tight do you go with a cork gasket? I wouldn't have a clue. I'm just going to go every bolt till it touches, and then maybe a little more, maybe a little less, I don't know. Well, maybe not a little less than just touching, but. All right, so they're just all nipped. Just gonna give them a little bit of a, actually, let's look at this backboard of this service kit. It might tell me a spec or something. Nah, doesn't say shit. All right, best judgment, let's go. All it's gonna do is leak. Just kind of gets a little bit tighter. That's about where I'm stopping. It's not tight, it's just a little bit tighter. Bloody beautiful. All right, I'm gonna apply some sealant to my sensor and fang it in. All right, got my goo on it. Let's thread it in. Obviously it's tapered, so it'll kind of try and seal on its own too. Got a little bit of PTFE, liquid thread tape. All right, that'll do it. Now time to work out this Turbo 400 bracket. All right, so I guess I just mount it at the back. So I guess I just undo one of those bolts and like that sensor in it. Or do I go? It says I go to the end of the pan, but it looks more like it would make more sense to go to the second last one. Yeah, so it's definitely got to go to the end one. Problem is the end one will need a washer, just like my shifter bracket. So I'm going to need to get myself a little washer to put to space this down. So what I'm getting at here is this bracket goes over that bolt hole, and it's because of the lip on this, I need to space it down a little bit. Then the sensor goes from there to up here. Let's look for a washer first. So my spacer is coming in the form of a nut. Now the problem is I think my bolt's not going to be long enough. Yep. And that'll be an imperial bolt. So now I need to find a longer imperial bolt. Unless it is metric, but I highly doubt it. Looks very imperial. Wouldn't can read about it. We have 5/16 by 1 inch with the right thread, in stock, literally. Anyway, just long enough. Let's go. How the hell do we have those in stock is beyond me. Now, this is gonna line up really weird, but I assume there's no resistance against this position sensor. Like it doesn't bind up or anything, I'm pretty sure. Seems a little bit of an odd way to do this, because the way that overhangs, that's gonna want to twist. There's nothing stopping that from twisting, but I suppose it's just, and they've got the position sensor on it, so it's not like it's, you know, it's not like it's holding any load of any kind. So let's just do this up a little bit tighter. Try and hold it as straight as possible. Alright, that ain't going anywhere. It has these delicate little nylon bolts. So I guess if it does bind up, it'll just snap the nylon bolts instead of picking up the sensor. Yep, that is way too long. What? Maybe it does go to that other one. It says in the picture to put it at the back one. Alright, let's go to that one. It did seem odd that it was going to be on the end one. It's better. But it's going to come pretty close to my trans brake wire. Don't really know how a nylon bolt is going to cut through a nylon washer. Oh, sick. I bumped up the thing and that wasn't recording anything. So that's kind of on there. I don't know if that's the correct way. Just going to tighten up this back nut. These little nylon bolts are a fucking stupid idea. This is so dumb. I'm going to use a normal nut and bolt on this side. I'm going to snip this one off and just use a normal nut and bolt. I suppose I only really need one protective bolt at one end if it does need a snap. that is how it ended up looking. I don't know if that's correct. I am definitely running out of time again today because this is taking way too long. So I think I'm just going to fill this trans fluid up, get the car mobile again, give it up for here and finish this next weekend. Alrighty guys, so probably finish the video there for now. This video will continue next weekend, but I'm basically running out of time again today, so I'll get the wheels back on, put oil in it and just get it mobile again, so I can drive in and out during the week and start up next week. So next week we've got to wire the T400 sensor, temp sensor, wire the flap for the exhaust, and possibly move the battery to the boot if the clamp has arrived for it. So that's probably all I'll get done before the NoPrep. So that should cover me maybe one day next week and I'll have all that done. That may either go in this video right now or that will go in another video. If not, if it's in another video, thanks for watching guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that. But yeah, goodbye.